Yeah, so Coors Field is a unique challenge that only the Rockies deal with in baseball, right? So, what does that mean? It's drier. The ball carries a little better. There's less air resistance, right? So, uh, the ball might carry a little further off the bat, but our stadium's way bigger. We don't necessarily give up more home runs. I think we're like median for number of home runs given up in our park. Um, it is more of an offensive park. The outfielders are further apart because the park is big. There's going to be more hits fall in. Yes, it's going to be tough if you're comparing a Rockies pitcher to, say, someone in San Francisco. Those are kind of two ends of the spectrum. San Francisco, very, very defensive park. It's really hard to hit there. It makes pitchers look good, right? Just from the environment. And Coors Field is a bit the opposite, right? So it's tough to come to Coors Field and say, "Oh, I'm going to have a really awesome year," and then jump off into free agency because I had a 2 ERA. Like that's tough for a couple reasons. But to your point, like you've got to just play the other guy, right? Like I think wins are more indicative of like how good someone's pitching at Coors Field. Like I think there are going to be some elevated numbers. Um, but ultimately, your opponent has the same environment.
That's true.
But I think the thing that people aren't talking about, what makes it hard, is say you pitch here at Coors Field, and then you go on the road. So now, like Jake, you had really good spin. Like everything you threw spins really hard. It's going to act differently at Coors Field, right? It's going to be a little bit later and a little bit shorter. It's going to get to the plate quicker, and then the same pitch, say in San Francisco, is going to start breaking earlier and end up in the dirt. So it's kind of like you have to adjust your release points a little bit, which wouldn't be a big deal if you had lots of time to do, to make that adjustment. But our guys were playing. 40% of our games are either we just got home from being on the road or we just got on the road from being at home. So guys are constantly in flux trying to make that adjustment. And I just think nobody gets credit for that, right? Like say you pitch the first game, on the road after playing catch every day at elevation, and then you go on the road and every breaking ball you throw, you overcook it and it ends up in the dirt. Like, that's tough. That's tough for you. You're going to have to make that adjustment while the other starting pitching isn't going to have to make it.
That's a great viewpoint that I haven't necessarily thought about. It's like you calibrate your rifle to go hunting, everything's dialed in, and then you go somewhere completely different, or it's at a much greater distance, and now you got to change everything up. So that's something I never really thought about. Is when I pitch in Coors Field, okay, I need to lower my sights. I need to start my breaking ball slightly lower because if I start it in the same spot I'm accustomed to, it's probably going to hang in the middle of the plate. And then you go, somewhere, further east, or you go back to Chicago. Now you're kind of back to like sea level, and you got to adjust again. So that's something I never really put much thought into, and you're exactly right about that.
So it's not as easy as just looking at home and road splits. And same thing for hitters, right? Like I don't. You're going to probably hit better at Coors Field. It's like I said, it's offensive. The ball does carry a little bit. The outfielders are further apart. The pitchers are uncomfortable. Like you're going to play better offense at home compared to somebody else playing at home. But I think whatever you pick up at home, I think you then turn around and give away when you go back on the road. Now all of a sudden every breaking pitch looks different. All the two seamers are different. Like there's an adjustment period for hitters, and then on top of all that, we do have, it's a little bit tougher to recover. So I think soft tissue injuries are more prominent at Coors Field, and over the course of 7-month season, it's really hard to stay healthy, and that kind of makes things a little more difficult. So it's like a high risk, high reward park.